Welcome to the Financial Doctor Show.
Assalamualaikum. Welcome to the Financial Doctor Show. I'm Nik, your Financial Doctor. Assalamualaikum dan selamat petang. Bersama saya pada petang ini Puan Engku Nordiana Tuan Ahmad, seorang ibu kepada 3 orang anak. Assalamualaikum Puan Diana, apa khabar?
Waalaikumsalam, baik.
Alhamdulillah.
How are you?
I'm fine too, thank you. Alhamdulillah. Petang ini kita akan berbicara tentang education funding and investment for your children's future. So that's why lah I panggil petang ni Puan Diana yang dah mempunyai anak-anak yang dah besar, 3 orang semuanya. Kita akan berbincang tentang education anak-anak. Alright, so Puan Diana, sebelum kita teruskan, jom kita ambil masa 1 minit untuk share show kita ni pada petang ni dalam kita punya social media. So 1 minit kita share ya. Okay. Share. Alright. Okay. So, terima kasih sekali lagi pada Puan Diana, ataupun saya selalu panggil dia Diana je. Okay. Terima kasih pada petang ni sudi bersama kita orang. Basically, the Financial Doctor Show, we have this show untuk bagi kesedaran kepada rakyat Malaysia kat luar sana tentang perancangan kewangan dan juga tentang service of a licensed financial planner. So basically petang ni kita nak fokus khas untuk education anak-anak, di mana kita rasakan ianya merupakan satu pelaburan, investment untuk children's future. Okay, so sebelum kita pergi pada lebih detail, boleh tak Puan Diana cerita sedikit tentang diri Puan Diana?
Okay, so my name is Engku Nordiana. I have 3 children. My eldest is 19 years old.
Wow.
My second lelaki, and then my second son is 18 years old yang baru dapat result SPM, I think last week. Few days ago lah, last week or last 2 weeks. And then my youngest is my daughter, who is 13 years old.
Okay, 13 years old. So 3 orang anak. So satu dah masuk college, one is going to go to college soon.
Yes.
Okay.
So last year I ada anak yang maknanya during the pandemic I have 2 kids taking SPM. 2020 punya SPM, 2021 punya SPM.
Back to back.
Back to back.
Tapi bagus juga masa pandemik, sebab kalau bukan musim pandemik, so 2 tahun tak boleh travel. So ni pandemik memang dah tak boleh travel, memang duduk rumah. Kan?
Tapi bila pandemik dah habis, hari tu semua orang travel, I still tak boleh travel.
Tak boleh travel lagi. I see. Okay, so Puan Diana, selain daripada mempunyai anak 3 orang, apakah background Puan Diana? What do you do? Boleh Puan Diana share sedikit?
Okay. So I have a qualification in Islamic financial planning.
Oh, great.
And I also ada registered financial planning.
Oh, okay.
So I've been in the financial services industry, I think maybe daripada 2005. Tapi I pun tak nak kira berapa tahun. 17.
2005, 15, 17 tahun. Dah lama dah. Okay. Alright. So, okay, Puan Diana, apa yang membuatkan Puan Diana passionate tentang kerja Puan Diana ni?
Okay, so I think one of the most important thing yang I find out, especially nowadays, a lot of people macam dapat misinformation, a lot of information especially on financial literacy. So I suka nak educate and help more people to tak buat financial mistake and bad financial decision, because nowadays kan with the media social, macam-macam info dapat. Ada info betul, ada info tak betul. So macam financial doctor punya show ni one of it lah kan, you nak we
Yes.
can educate people the right way, the right things.
Correct. I see. Okay, so selain waktu kerja, apakah hobi Puan Diana?
Uish, hobi masak kot, sama lah kita. You pun hobi
Oh,
masak
suka
kan?
masak So apa you punya specialty?
I suka masak tapi I tak suka baking.
Oh, okay. Alright.
I suka masak makanan Melayu ke western ke I suka, tapi baking dessert I tak suka.
Oh, I see. So baking tak suka. I ni baking boleh lah juga. Masak Melayu pun boleh jugalah sikit-sikit. Tapi tengok mood lah. Kan tak ada I masak everyday.
Tapi masak ni bila hobi dia tengok mood. Kalau masak ni kalau you tak ada mood dia jadi tak sedap.
Kan. Kalau tak ada
dia
mood
ada
tu
mood.
kita grab je lah. Okay, alright. So Puan Diana, apakah satu fun fact tentang Puan Diana yang orang tak tahu? Boleh Puan Diana share?
Apa ya? Fun fact?
Ya.
Fun ke tak? I suka main game kot, which I think ramai orang tak tahu dan ramai orang terkejut lah kot, sebab biasanya mak-mak dan perempuan dewasa jarang main game.
Game apa? Roblox?
Tak. Tapi I daripada muda memang banyak main game. Tapi dah tua-tua tak sangat, but I still play game dekat PlayStation ke apa, kadang-kadang multiplayer with my son, with my daughter.
I see.
Cuma
Actually, mak orang pun suka main game.
kurang
Dia macam game. Sekarang ni game entah apa yang macam jatuh tu you kena susun-susun.
Yang game-game tu suka, game-game yang perang-perang pun I main. Bunuh orang pun I main. Tapi nowadays kurang lah, busy kan. Dulu-dulu masa anak-anak I kecil selalu juga main.
I guess it keep your mental alert kot main game ni. Kan?
Maybe lah kot. Tapi memang I daripada I zaman uni I memang suka main game. Main game lah daripada dulu.
I see. Okay, apa you punya favourite quote Diana?
Quote?
Yes.
Let go and let God.
Let go and let God. I think memang betul lah. Sometimes kita ni terlampau nak control sangat sesuatu kan.
Ya, betul.
So,
sebab I think sometimes especially when you have kids, it's very hard to control what you. There are things that you can control, there are things you cannot control. Actually when I have like kids yang kiranya adult lah, already an adult. Bila above 18, it's a different feeling lah. We have kids above 18, they are adults. You boleh nasihat jadi different. So kena more let go and let God lah.
Ya, betul. I agree. My daughter yang bukan 18 pun sometimes I rasa kena let go and let God. Because you cannot be controlling everything kan.
Yes.
So sometimes you just got to have trust and
You have to trust.
I think nowadays are so different from those days masa kita membesar dulu. Tapi I rasa bila kita cakap macam ni rasa macam tua-tua lah pula.
Sebab topik ni memang buat kita rasa tua.
Exactly. So Diana, apa you punya favourite food Diana?
Bila orang suka masak ni maknanya dia suka makan juga kan?
Ya.
Tak tahu lah, I'm actually more suka makanan Melayu. I cook a lot of western food sebab my kids suka, my family suka. But actually I tak suka sangat. I kan orang Pantai Timur. Makanan Pantai Timur lah.
Oh yelah kan you orang Terengganu kan?
So I suka makanan Pantai Timur lah.
I see.
Nasi minyak, kari Terengganu, things like that.
I punya favourite, I suka makan budu. Tapi I suka juga makan masak lemak. I suka juga makan kari. So dia ikut mood.
Multinational.
Exactly.
Macam kari tu I tak suka sangat. Masak lemak I tak suka sangat. I memang more kepada kalau orang suruh pilih masak lemak, kari dengan ikan singgang, I pilih ikan singgang.
Sebab my father orang Kelantan, so I suka budu. My mother orang Perak dengan campur Penang, so dia suka makan kari.
So dia jadi utara.
Married to orang Negeri Sembilan, jadi bila dah start makan masak lemak cili api tu, sedap lah pula kan. So makan semua. I guess kalau kita
I makan je, but if preference tak prefer sangat lah.
Suka makan orang Terengganu lah.
Orang makan kari kan, pergi mamak confirm makan kari kan.
Betul. I rasa kita nak cerita pasal makanan ni mungkin we can talk about it until the cows come back. Kalau cerita pasal makanan kan tak habis, betul tak? Okay, so jom kita cerita tentang topik kita pada malam ini. Okay, tentang education, funding and investment to your children's future. So Puan Diana, you mentioned just now ada anak 3 orang, seorang dah masuk universiti sekarang. Dia ambil kursus apa ya Puan Diana?
Yang dah masuk. My eldest is dia ambil IB punya, which is pre-U punya program lah sekarang. It's still pre-U.
Macam
International Baccalaureate.
Foundation lah, International Baccalaureate.
A-level.
Uh-huh.
So he's gonna take economics for degree.
Fantastic. Wow. Interesting. Dia memang minat economics ke?
Actually, I didn't know.
Okay.
Dia minat economics. So bila dia nak choose for the courses and everything, so what I do for my children is selalunya I ask them to have a dua option. Kenapa dua option berbeza? Sebab some kid dia macam fixated nak satu benda. I want medic. So what happen if kalau you tak dapat medic? Maybe your result doesn't allow you to take medic.
Yeah.
Kan? So I akan cakap, so what are the courses, 2 courses yang you want? So actually his first choice mula-mula he wants to take psychology.
Okay.
Which I didn't expect as well. So and then the second choice is economic. But he got better offer for economic punya ni, so he chose economic lah.
I see.
Because psychology tak banyak sangat. Psychology you have to belajar until masters, only you can practice. So this one thing lah juga.
No, I think in my previous show ataupun in my FB live, I also selalu cakap tentang anak-anak punya preference ni awal masa dia dah form 2, form 3 tu you dah tanya dia orang ni suka belajar apa, because I'm sure the course yang dia orang nak ambil tu akan be impacted. Contoh tadi Diana mention kalau dia nak buat medicine, I think medicine at least 500,000 kot dia punya cost dia kot kan. And then kalau nak pergi buat overseas lagi mahal. Tapi kalau kursus macam ekonomi ataupun macam business, I think it's slightly
cheaper. Medic is the most expensive lah. Of all courses, kalau anak you cakap tak nak ambil medic tu, you macam alhamdulillah lah juga.
Alhamdulillah. Kan? Okay. So I guess topik macam ni, okay, you will talk to them topik-topik tentang kerjaya ni masa dia dah lepas SPM ke ataupun like few years before that ke, ataupun macam mana?
I think each child ni dia macam different. Macam my eldest ni, dia macam tak ada tunjuk minat apa-apa. Sampai dia even form 5. He take pure science masa dia SPM. So I pun tak pernah tanya dia, macam tak tahu, I don't know. But one thing good about Malaysia, sekolah lah, I don't know about kalau sekolah private, but ni sekolah menengah kebangsaan lah, sekolah menengah biasa. So dia memang ada bila diorang form 5, they have to take macam psychometric test or psychology test, something like that.
Okay.
So that psychology test actually macam access dia punya macam dia punya personality and what career suits them. So bila dia lepas SPM, dia cakap ke I dia nak ambil economics and psychology yang dia minat. Bila I baca the test tu, it's actually tally.
Okay.
So I think perhaps one of the thing that you can need for you to take macam career test ke, to know apa dia punya, it can be a guideline lah, it cannot be exactly sangat. Tapi with my second son, dia dah macam tahu apa dia nak daripada awal, daripada dia. So dia computer science, dia memang teknik geek sikit lah, geeky kan orang panggil. So dia memang minat all this ni. So masa dia sekolah menengah pun he masuk robotic competition, all this macam competition programming whatever, dia memang dah masuk daripada sekolah menengah, dia memang minat. So bila macam tu dia dah nampak lah dia minat, and dia memang dah banyak kali cakap kalau dia nak ni, dia nak sambung computer science or anything to do with computer lah. So different children different kan.
Yeah. So why do you think that pentingnya kita kena buat perancangan untuk education anak ni?
Okay, firstly is one thing macam I think a lot of parents macam our age lah, masa kita belajar dulu, there's a lot of opportunities untuk IPTA. Very macam the competition is not macam, bukan nak cakap senang sangat nak masuk, but most people that you know masuk IPTA ramai can masuk IPTA. Maknanya kalau you apply, most likely you dapat lah kalau result you okay. Tu kan. But nowadays the
dengar kat luar
competition,
sana tak tahu IPTA tu Institut Pengajian Tinggi Awam.
Institut
Okay.
Pengajian Tinggi Awam. Apa contoh Institut Pengajian Tinggi Awam tu? Macam UKM, UPM, USM, UITM. So but what happened nowadays is that, and then scholarship. When student yang dapat good results, there's a lot of scholarship available dulu. Ramai yang dapat scholarship dulu. Maknanya because of results you very good, and then tak ramai semua orang dapat result very good, easy to get scholarship. Nowadays, to get a scholarship is very, very hard. Limited scholarships. And scholarships, SPM kan dia ada A plus, A minus, A. So when people saying 9 A's pun tak, some of 9 A's tak even eligible. Bukan dapat eligible nak apply pun tidak. Because banyak scholarship, actually on corporate punya scholarship, they want only A plus and A. Straight. Maknanya. So it's very, very competitive. So I think a lot of people macam taken aback lah bila tahu. I don't tengok because I join some of macam group-group yang baru lepas parents-parents lepasan SPM kan. So ramai yang terkejut macam rupanya John semua nak A plus dengan A je. Maknanya if A minus walaupun straight A tak boleh apply lah, things like that lah. So satu, the scholarship is very hard to get. It's very, very competitive.
Yeah.
And then unlike during our time, kita macam dapat apa kita masuk. Kita macam tak ada kurang exposure kot. So kids nowadays they have exposure. So if they said they want to study this particular courses, and then if for example dia minta tak dapat certain unit for that certain course, dapat course lain, they will reluctant to take. And sometimes budak-budak bila you force, dia tak boleh perform.
Ya, betul.
Kan kalau kita pun kan kena belajar benda yang kita tak suka. So when that happens, you have to have other options. Maybe cari IPTS or cari apa kat mana course yang sesuai, because some courses maybe sesuai dekat universiti ni yang, for example, orang nak belajar graphic design fashion, Lim Kok Wing for example.
Ya.
Kan? So things like that lah. There are things yang
So 3 benda I recap balik yang Diana mention, kenapa pentingnya untuk buat education funding sekarang ni. Pertama sekali Diana mention about IPTA. Walaupun kita ada banyak IPTA, but still I think tak cuma mencukupi. Alright.
Betul. Bukan banyak sangat budak pandai juga.
Banyak sangat budak pandai juga. And then secondly, Diana mention tentang scholarship. Okay, and it's not easy to get scholarship nowadays. 9A pun belum tentu lagi semua nak kena 9A plus.
Dia kalau 9A plus tu okay lah. Most
Kan.
probably you'll get.
So kalau you ada huruf-huruf lain, ada huruf-huruf lain mungkin mencabar lah kot.
Kalau less than maknanya even 9A's pun still, yang lain-lain lagi lah susahnya.
And thirdly, I would agree with you tentang kids punya exposure nowadays, because if I relate to my daughter is only 14, tapi I dah start mula bercakap dengan dia tentang apakah kecenderungan dia nak belajar apa. So sebelum ni dia pernah cakap dia nak jadi personal shopper. Aku tak tahulah nak belajar apa kalau jadi personal shopper kan. Habis tu nak kata dia nak jadi marketing lah kot kan kalau personal shopper. And then lepas tu dia kata nak jadi buat real estate punya agent. Okey lah, bagus juga tu. But now dia kata nak jadi artis. Bukan artis yang menyanyi, tapi artis yang buat lukisan tu, yang melukis. Kan?
So kids kan dia punya different.
So kalau dia dah dapat tentu interest dia, I rasa what comes to my mind, kot Lim Kok Wing ataupun private college lah yang selalunya lebih excel kepada seni ni kan. Anyway, so I rasa benda macam ni pun I think I will keep on having discussion with her, because benda tu kan exposure. Macam yang Diana cakap tu, budak-budak sekarang selalunya dia akan dah tahu dah apa dia nak. Betul tak? Tapi kan I ada juga cousin yang dah masuk universiti ni, habis tu berkali-kali tukar. Mula-mula buat course ni, habis tu tahun depan buat course lain pula. So you imagine, memanglah mak bapak tu pening kepala, tapi on course-nya juga lah kan. Betul tak? Because you change kan. Betul tak? Tapi kadang-kadang kita nak paksa pun tak boleh. Sebab saya kira kalau lah dia buat juga, lepas tu dia tak seronok nanti, you faham tak? Dia tak perform, kita nak salahkan siapa? Kan? So 3 benda yang Diana mention tu memanglah I think perkara penting kenapa ibu bapa sekarang perlu buat perancangan tentang education. Macam cakap dah, kalau dia tukar, tiba-tiba tukar, tak nak ambil course ni, nak ambil course lain lah pula. Betul tak? Kan? Because these are about their future. That's why lah kita punya title pun education.
Sometimes maybe dia dapat course tu. Masa dia apply dia dapat course di certain course. Sebenarnya not dia punya option tapi dapat, dan dia rasa macam tak apalah, rugi I tolak, I ambil, I nak try je lah. I try je, maybe I will like it. Tiba-tiba tak boleh pergi.
Tak boleh pergi.
That's tukar.
Kan, okay. So I guess itulah 3 benda yang kenapa I think it's a good point that semua orang kena fikir. Dan I rasa benda ni you tak boleh fikir masa anak you dah SPM. Betul tak Diana? Maksudnya you kena fikir macam ada buat sekarang ni lah, ada fikir dah. So
Tapi
keep on asking.
Tapi dia macam kena ada review lah, sebab budak lain macam cakap lah, berubah-ubah. Kejap dia nak benda lain. So always kena tahu dia macam, but kena keep on macam get the idea lah at least kan.
Yeah. Tapi I rasa sekarang ni bila tanya budak-budak, jarang lah you kena, I nak jadi lawyer, I nak jadi doktor, I nak jadi polis, I nak jadi askar. Itu adalah jarang you dengar. So sekarang ni macam-macam because exposure dia kan. Betul tak?
Yes.
So
interesting.
Betul. So macam mana you prepare untuk you punya children punya future education ni? Apa yang you buat? Apa yang you dah buat sebelum ni? Now that you dah ada 2 orang anak yang nak masuk universiti. Ataupun seorang dah masuk universiti, seorang going to university.
Of course you memang need to satu, I think one of the most important thing is you kena set your expectation. Okay? Macam course ni banyak ada di mana-mana. So kena set expectation. Okay. If my if contohnya I memang nak hantar
expectation anak.
Expectation kita dan expectation anak.
Okay, alright. Then.
So maksudnya macam contoh anak ada orang cakap tak apa, anak I masuk IPTA lah, pendidikan tinggi awam je. Tapi you don't know, what if tak dapat? What if course yang anak tu nak tak ada dekat situ, or dia ni. So you still need to have a backup plan. Or some people thinking macam tak apalah, boleh ambil loan, boleh ambil PTPTN. So that is one of the thing yang you have to take note. And contohnya kalau you what kind of course, lepas tu kena selalu review, tahu kalau tiba-tiba anak tu cakap ambil medik 2-3 tahun, dia stay nak medik juga, then you know already, maybe there's a big chance dia
lebih lah itu.
So what course dia nak take, what kind of university, or is it local, if it private pun banyak range. Ada private yang premium price, ada private yang tengah-tengah, and then whether want to send overseas, full overseas or twinning, there are so many options. So you have to set expectation dulu, and whether it's realistic or not, because macam kita ada limited resources. So whether we're willing to, for example, like say for medic maybe about 1 million kalau you hantar pergi overseas, which is the reality now lah. Medic is over 1 million. Betul. Kalau overseas UK lah, kalau you hantar Egypt much cheaper lah. So that's why a lot of parents yang medic sometimes they opt for Egypt, which is much cheaper nowadays. So are you willing to spend 1 million for one child for his or her education? You kena tanya expectation you. Tak apa, I'm okay if my kid ambil medic dekat private, for example, is 500k. If dia tak dapat IPTA, UM ke apa, I'll send to private, will cost about 500k. Okay lah, rather than I send to overseas for me. So you have to have the expectation, and whether it's realistic or not lah. your
Yeah.
income, berapa banyak you nak kena spend. So need to sit down and think on that.
I see. Okay. So 2 points that you mentioned just now, satu set expectation, kemudian you review sama ada ianya adalah realistik ataupun tidak. So itulah benda yang you prepare. So you have done untuk you punya anak lah. So just now you mentioned your eldest child sekarang buat economy and the second one ni berminat untuk buat computer science. Kan?
Betul.
Jadi I rasa benda ni memang betul, memang bertepatan sebab macam I cakap tadi, macam I review my daughter sekarang nak jadi apa kan. Betul tak? Tu pun I pun tak sure lah dia nak betul ke nak buat arts. Tapi at the moment ni I tengok dia memang sukalah performing arts kan. But I guess benda ni juga lah sangat penting untuk kita, macam kita cakap tadi, you kena sentiasa review dan the expectation tu will gradually come.
And
For
also
both parents dan anak-anak.
Do not macam berharap yang no worries, my kids will get a scholarship. Ada some people are thinking that way. Dia ingat masa zaman dulu quite easy. Tengok anak dia macam score dekat sekolah, maybe anak I nanti. It's very very hard. Okay, my eldest did very well during his SPM. He got not a full scholarship lah, but macam a part of a scholarship punya ni. So which is tapi we did plan if kalau dia tak dapat what are the so you cannot macam rely on the scholarship. Scholarship tu bonus lah, kalau dapat okay lah dapat. Kalau tak dapat, you need to one thing, especially if your kids is an achiever, then if dia tak dapat, can you feel dia dah achieve, then dia tak dapat apa yang course dia minat, for example. So that's coming back to you as a parents jugalah, whether you nak give the best for dia punya education or just macam tak apalah, apa-apa yang ni ikutlah macam mana. So depends. Saya cakap kena set kita punya expectation and kids punya expectation as well.
Okay, to my listeners out there, if you have any questions, to parents out there, if you have any questions whatsoever with regards to your children education punya funding, or you ada curious nak tanya, boleh tanya soalan, boleh tulis dekat ruangan chat. InsyaAllah I cuba jawab, dan juga Puan Diana boleh share juga experience Puan Diana tentang soalan. We already have a question. Encik Azhan Ismail. Saving alone may not be enough because cost of studying, especially IPTS, Institut Pengajian Tinggi Swasta, keep on increasing. Maybe we need to invest. Hopefully the economy is good along the way. That is a good point by Encik Azhan Ismail who shared that. I think very very apt. Memang sekarang ni kos pelajaran makin meningkat. So Puan Diana nak tanya you, since when you start planning untuk you punya children punya education? Since when you start savings untuk children punya education ni?
Actually for my youngest, I start early on lah, maknanya daripada kecil lah tadika dah start thinking about that. But for my eldest tu lambat sikit sebab kesedaran pun lambat. Masa tu tak terfikir. That's why I said that we need to educate a lot of parents nowadays supaya tak jadi macam I juga dulu, bila I tak terfikir because I thought macam semua orang boleh masuk IPTA and IPTA is not expensive. Then along the way I sedar yang kita tak boleh 100% rely to that only. Kita kena tapi even IPTA pun you still need to have certain funding. The reason is because memang the fees is not expensive, but the cost of living is high. Bila anak you masuk universiti, dia kan duduk kat asrama. So dia punya makan, dia punya sewa. So kalau kata even kalau KL I rasa RM10 sehari makan tu macam ngam-ngam sangat. Maybe 15 lah for example. Paling kurang I rasa 15. So 15 sebulan dah berapa juta. So for katalah 4 years or 5 years, biasanya 4 to 5 years lah kan. So you have to have that. So there are two things lah, parents yang I selalunya, whether dia save and invest for children education lah maknanya, or the expenses become part of their cash flow.
I see. Okay.
So you do children education earlier, you dah plan benda tu, it doesn't have to be part of your cash flow.
I think I must thank you, Diana, for sharing your personal experience. You mentioned that you didn't really plan for your eldest child, but you start planning earlier for your youngest child. So how early is early to Diana?
I
when
would
she's
say kalau
beranak-beranak
4 to 5
terus?
years, kalau yang lagi betul-betul beranak-beranak terus ni, tapi I tak fokus sangat. Kalau yang masa beranak tu I macam tak fokus sangat lah, adalah save but not macam, but bila start macam tadika then I start like, oh ni need to start ni.
I see. So I guess kesedaran untuk buat savings ni sebenarnya as early as possible. Kan? Sebab I rasa kalau you save as early as possible, you can start with a lower amount.
Yes, and then you can invest into bila you have longer term, you can invest into maybe higher risk but you have a longer term. Tapi kalau dah lambat, how can you nak invest? Dia 18, dia dah umur 16, 2 tahun dia nak invest. So you cannot, you have to macam make sure that the money is there bila dia nak ni kan. So that is one thing that you have to consider lah. The earlier the better.
Yeah, betul. I started when my daughter is in standard 6, okay, to start savings untuk dia punya education. So that means I have about another 5-6 years to plan. Alright. So I plan first plan is untuk dia masuk IPTA lah, but macam you cakap, I also have a backup plan kalau dia perlu masuk private college. Okay. So I guess kalaulah kita boleh buat simpanan awal, kita boleh menggunakan investment dan konsep of compounding return so that kita dapat duit kita bekerja keras jugalah kan, and we can have.
Betul. And also dia macam less pressure to parents as well kalau kita dah ada education funding. Kalau tiba-tiba you not macam so macam oh I need to make sure dia dapat, or macam bila tak dapat tu stress out, what is the backup plan, tak ada, because you already have a backup plan. For example, kalau kata tiba-tiba dia dapat dan you don't use the education funding, you can use for other adik dia or transfer to retirement ke whatever kan.
Correct. Okay, we have a question. Kai, can you please put the question on the screen? Okay, soalan daripada Encik Zulkari Zulkifli. One of the options available for parents to build education fund is by saving using SSPN. Betul. One of the intentions is for their children to be eligible to apply for PTPTN in the future should the child unable to secure any scholarship. But the maximum of PTPTN depends on parents' income tier. How to manage this issue? Is there any alternative available that you yourself use?
Okay.
Maybe you want to give your
okay, so PTPTN ni, I think a lot of people macam bila thought before this, okay tak apa, PTPTN kan ada, kan pinjam daripada PTPTN. But the reality is PTPTN punya loan is depends on parents punya income tier. Okay. T20 is considered income 11,000 ke atas.
Okay.
M40 is 5 to 11 lah. And then below 5 is considered B40. So dia cakap B40, which I actually memang tengok lah PTPTN punya website sebab nak tahu the ni kan. So the B40, they can take maximum PTPTN loan lah. That's what ni. But some people thought the maximum PTPTN loan ni actually maknanya cover all your fees lah. Tapi it's not. The maximum yang diorang tetapkan, PTPTN ada tetapkan. For example, diploma, degree, I tak ingat, degree science punya degree in IPTA is about 6,000 plus maximum, which is B40 get maximum, M40 get 50% ke 75, T20 get macam lagi sikit. So dapatlah maybe 3,000 for 1 year. So is it enough? Maybe it's enough to cover the fees. But macam cakap, the living expenses, makan RM15 sehari apa semua, it's not enough. So PTPTN is not nowhere near enough. Even 6,000 for B40 pun maybe dia bayar. People UiTM, I don't know the exact ni, but macam UiTM very low. So kalau UiTM, then maybe they have access for makan-makan lepas dia bayar fee. But some university tak habis kat fees je lah.
Okay, so I guess soalan Cik Zul tu memang, soalan tu sebenarnya ada dua benda bagi saya. Satu ialah kesedaran tentang PTPTN itself. Apa sebenarnya PTPTN to provide. So apa yang Diana explain tadi, of course yang Zul pun mention, dia ada tiers. So bukannya you boleh dapat the whole fees.
Tu yang orang salah faham.
ikut tiers tu pun kalau yang mention tadi tu maximum of about 6,000 macam tu. So sufficient, cukup untuk bayar fee. Tetapi itu belum lagi makan minum, sewa, beli buku,
Beli
projek,
buku.
betul
Yes,
tak?
project.
Entah kalau masuk program apa, uniform or things like that. So I guess it is expensive. So ditanya tadi apakah pelaburan lain? Okay, so there are apa pelaburan lain yang mungkin Diana can share that is available yang people can consider?
So that's why you need to start early lah. So tapi when you start, that's why you need to have the education funding. Why we fikir nak ambil PTPTN ni is because kita tak ada the education funding. Kalau orang yang dah ada education funding, the PTPTN tu is just kalau nak ambil, tak nak ambil pun tak apa. That's one. But SSPN is good. Building education fund using SSPN is very good because satu, SSPN boleh tolak tax.
Yeah.
So if people who put money in SSPN, which is 8,000 setahun, satu parents contohnya, to tolak the tax, so 16,000 a year dah. So kalau dia start awal, actually will be up quite a lot. You see?
I guess yeah, what you mentioned tu betul. Dia tanya tadi apakah jenis-jenis pelaburan. To me, jenis-jenis pelaburan ni kita tak boleh nak terus cakap satu jenis pelaburan that you recommend. Tak. Sebab jenis pelaburan ni sebelum kita nak cakap jenis pelaburan, kita mesti sit down dulu dengan mak bapak tu nak tanya mak bapak tu apa preference pelaburan mereka. Jadi bila kita faham apakah preference pelaburan mereka, kita kena kaitkan pula ataupun kita kena beri kesedaran kepada ibu bapa tentang risiko, profil risiko mereka. What is their risk profile? Mungkin contoh I bagi example, sampai mungkin dia suka invest in hartanah, dia suka invest in gold. Ada yang invest in crypto, ada yang invest dalam unit amanah, ada yang invest macam-macam jenis pelaburan yang ada di luar sana. Tetapi you mesti faham you punya risk profile. Then bila you dah faham risk profile, then you kena tengok pula jangka masa.
Yes,
contoh, I
tadi.
start buat simpanan, okay, bila my daughter umur 12 tahun. So I have 5 years. Okay, so mungkin the first 2-3 years I can take slightly higher risk, but towards the end, 2 years I must take a lower risk. Betul tak? Jadi nak cakap apakah alternatif kat luar sana, so this is where I would say you talk to someone yang can give you unbiased advice, okay, tentang keadaan you. Juga nanti data akan relate bila you buat perancangan tentang education anak. Not just that, you must remember you also have other life priorities yang berjalan sama. Contohnya I would say I dan Diana ni walaupun kami berdua nampak muda remaja tapi dah berumur sebenarnya. So persaraan makin juga is getting closer. Betul tak? So when we talk about children education, tak bersara juga tak lama lagi. Ada just nak sebelum show tadi I was talking to Diana, nanti kita kena prepare juga kalau nanti anak nak kahwin. Kan? Betul tak? Kan? So that
macam I cakap tadi jugalah, kalau contoh you tengok, okay, medic is 1 million to send to UK. Are you willing to with your, and then you look at your resources yang ada. Are you willing to sacrifice your retirement? Okay, I nak retire lambat because 1 million dekat sini, but if for example 500,000 dia student education, then the other ni you can focus on your retirement. So things like that. That's why Nik kena tahu kita punya expectation, kita whether is realistic, apa kita punya goal, benda macam tu lah. Need to really decide on that.
Okay. Soalan yang keempat ni ada relation macam yang you mention tentang SSPN. Encik Zul, I hope we have answered your question, Encik Zul. Kalau you rasa ada soalan lagi, you boleh tanya. Soalan nombor 4 yang I tanya Diana pada malam ni, what are some other external funding that you can explore selain daripada your own savings?
Okay. So macam I cakap tadi, satu is scholarships.
Okay.
But scholarships ada yang full scholarship, ada yang half scholarship, ada yang kena balik, ada yang kena bonded, ada yang tak ada bonded langsung. Bonded tu maknanya the company who sponsored you balik you kena kerja dengan dia. Ada banyak lah. But that one macam I cakap is very very hard, tough to get nowadays. Kalau anak you tak straight A+, the chances, there is chances, but kalau anak you straight A+, you patut rasa confident. Selain daripada tu, you tak boleh rasa confident sangat. Okay, so And then PTPTN of course, but like I said, PTPTN is very limited punya ni. And actually actually I don't recommend this, but I know some people are doing is to take off EPF account 2. That can be done lah under EPF punya ni. But I wouldn't recommend because for me personally, EPF is meant for retirement. So if you take EPF account 2 for education funding ni, technically you are kacau your retirement lah. Kan? And then the second one is we also education loan. But with education loan, there is interest. So bila versus kalau you saving daripada awal, actuallynya you get more money from what your money work harder for you lah. Tapi kalau you ambil loan, then you have to pay the interest, which in the end you will pay more.
Correct.
But a lot of people dia bila anak nak masuk baru cari loan, baru nak cari duit, memang there is no choice lah, terpaksa ambil education loan for example. But education loan kat Malaysia tak banyak pun option and usually the interest is very high.
I rasa topik malam ni sangat-sangat interesting sebab mungkin I don't know, because before my daughter masuk form 1, okay, I also did not really think of it. Okay.
Betul.
So I must also be frank, the awareness also didn't come early. Okay. Jadi mungkin juga kita assume yang bila masuk IPTA, the cost is cheap, that we are able to kita boleh cover lah. Mungkin
kita boleh cover using cash flow.
Apa dia? Kan?
Kita boleh cover using cash flow. That's a lot of people think. Maknanya okay, kalau masuk IPTA with the cash flow, okay lah, you bagi dia 400-500 sebulan for dia ni, I boleh bayar lah from kita punya income for example.
Macam contohnya Diana, in your situation, you sekarang akan ada 2 anak double. Betul tak? Because anak nombor 1, nombor 2, dia overlap. Kan? Jadi maksudnya katakanlah you bagi seorang 500, 2 orang dah 1000 sebulan. Betul tak? Bila nak masuk projek lah, nak pergi excursion lah apa semua kan. So there will be even more cost. Okay, so berapa orang anak pun menjadi satu
the overlap is also like you mentioned tadi kan, that overlap maknanya ada 2 anak yang tengah belajar kat university together tu is something yang you should kira juga daripada awal tu. Maknanya ada tahun tak yang overlap. Macam I dah kira with my daughter tak akan overlap. Maknanya dua-dua abang dah habis baru my daughter will ni lega lah kat situ kan.
I cakap tadi, okay, mungkin dia overlap lain tau. Overlap masa tu abang dia nak kahwin. Masuk universiti.
Baru nak lega kan? Baru
dia rasa nak lega. But actually this is the reality of full financial planning. You see, sebab kita boleh lihat secara keseluruhan dan kita dapat awareness. Alright? Okay, so these are the things juga yang you bagi 3 point tadi tau. Funding yang kita boleh explore selain daripada kita punya savings, scholarship. So di sini kita nak bagi awareness, pemahaman kepada ibu bapa, it's not easy to get scholarship. Okay? Dan juga you jangan assume yang anak you tak apa masuk IPTA. You jangan ingat masuk IPTA tu free, you jangan masuk IPTA tu harga dia murah, ada cost yang you tak nampak. Contoh sewa, makan minum dia, transportation dia, telefon. It's a necessity. Betul tak?
Yeah. And then kalau macam courses, I remember my younger sister dulu take macam architecture punya courses. Yang tu dia punya cost very high tau. Beli pen dah berapa ringgit, aku tak ingat.
Kertas
Because I bring her to
color pencil, whatever.
Lukisan dia. Wah, that kind of courses yang macam lukisan-lukisan ni, the cost is very expensive.
Correct. Betul. So these are the things yang bila kita buat perancangan awal, kita boleh buat, we have more time. Okay, so that comes to my next question. Okay, apakah sekarang ni I'm talking to you, Diana, but okay, apakah peranan spouse, okay, when it comes to planning for your children punya education planning?
I think satu, you kena discuss dengan spouse, you need to macam be in the same page. Dia tak boleh macam seorang lantaklah dapat apa-apa anak kita ni masuk je lah. Seorang, I nak anak I go overseas. Tapi seorang tak nak. It has to be, you have to set expectation sama-sama, find a common ground. Sebab it's a teamwork lah. Kan? So it's a teamwork. So some parents maybe dia nak ada yang I tahu ada sama parent dia macam okay, anak first, husband buat the children education, husband punya contribution, anak kedua wife punya contribution. Dibagi macam tu, yang ambil anak yang ni, ni or satu dua-dua contribute to the same fund lah maknanya kan. So it can be like that, but whatever it is kena ada some sort of maknanya decision yang dua-dua tahu. Okay, kalau if our limit, the cost is only about up to katalah 150,000 je per child. So kita memang confirm kalau nak pergi IPTS pun we need to look at what kind of IPTS yang boleh cover for 150,000. So that is the thing that you need to discuss. Sebab kalau nak petik je macam nanti yang wife nak hantar anak pergi tailors for example. Husband nak hantar anak pergi overseas. Or husband cakap tak apalah hantar anak pergi IPTA. Dia tak nak. Tapi so macam you jadi tak tahulah, tak ada that common ground kan. So you have to have that expectation. And bila macam tu juga the kids pun tahu yang okay, macam my kids I memang cakap, I said we okay education funding, we okay for private uni. Okay? But we're not okay for overseas. I cakap terang-terang. So that they don't have that expectation. Kalau overseas, we not sponsored lah maknanya tak ada farmer punya funding lah, education funding.
That means kalau dia nak pergi overseas, dia kena study hard and get scholarship.
Kalau find other ways lah nak pergi work kat sana ke apa ke. Kids nowadays kan very creative kan. So I said, I dah bagi awal-awal I dah cakap macam tu. Bila dia dapat result, I cakap okay, if you don't get what you want, and you want to go to IPTS, your education funding is enough for IPTS. But if you nak pergi overseas, sorry. sorry.
I guess Diana,
expectation kan kat situ.
Soalan ni juga adalah penting untuk macam ni tau. Bila kita kata spouse roles in planning for children education ni, sebenarnya kedua-dua kena mainkan peranan penting. Some people kata, tak apa, my children education itu my husband take care. So bila tanya dia tak tahu. The danger is, what if, nauzubillah lah kan, kita harap kita semua sihat, umur panjang. What if all of a sudden setahun sebelum your husband nak setahun sebelum your children nak masuk anak lah pula, husband you passed on first, ataupun your husband lost his job, tak dapat bekerja. Betul tak? So this is where I feel soalan ni kita nak bagi tahu bahawa ibu bapa, husband and wife, both of you must, macam dia cakap, you must be on the same page. You must know. Bukan sekadar nak expectation apa semua, but you, when you know, you dah tahu, okay, my husband dah ada banyak ni, I dah ada banyak ni. Dan kita boleh tally, cukup ke tak cukup ke dengan apa yang anak kita nak, dengan expectation kita. Betul tak? Jadi maksudnya bila kata spouse punya role tu sebenarnya juga adalah you have got to play that role. If Tuhan ambil dulu salah satu, if kalau Tuhan ambil dua-dua, ibu bapa tu tak ada, so apa dia yang you nak tinggalkan? So benda ni I think satu perancangan yang, because at the end of the day, I remember ayat Quran mengatakan kita tak naklah tinggalkan kita punya anak isteri dalam keadaan meminta-minta. So we want to be prepared in whatever situation. Okay, so I think this is another point or another angle kita nak tengok bila kita lihat peranan spouse. Tak kira lah suami ke isteri ke, both kena ambil tahu. Kan. Alright, so I guess kalau pendengar kat luar sana nak tanya, I think perbincangan agak hangat pada malam ni. Kalau ada apa-apa soalan nak tanya, boleh tanya. InsyaAllah saya dan juga Diana akan cuba jawab dan cuba share kita punya experience. Alright, so my next question Diana. Besides planning untuk children punya higher education funding untuk for the older child, apa plan untuk anak-anak yang the younger ones? Macam you, just now you mentioned, okay, your youngest child umur 13. Okay, what are the planning yang you dah buat untuk the youngest child?
So it's the same lah. It's the same macam I cakap, I dah tengok, okay, dia tak akan overlap dengan abang dia. Which is a relief jugalah. Sebab if ada yang overlap, then you have to maknanya consider both, maknanya at the same time akan ada dua yang so there are the things that we need to ni. Jangan terlalu fokus kepada satu orang anak dan nanti adik-adik sebab ada juga cases where contohnya kita macam fikir okay spend for ni and without thinking of yang adik ni berapa pula cost dia. So you have to do it parallelly lah. Tak boleh fokus kat seorang aja. Kan so allocate. Maknanya kalau ni allocate certain portion. Usually yang selalunya orang dia akan allocate yang paling dekat nak sambung belajar, yang tu banyak sikit sebab dah cepat nak pakai. Kena ada allocation for everyone at the same time. Sebab kalau tak nanti bila lagi lambat start lagi nak achieve the goal ni lagi susah lah. And then I think lagi satu kena review apa yang you dah buat untuk education funding. I know bila kadang-kadang some people bila kita tanya you ada buat education funding for your children ke? Oh dah, I ambil insurance education plan. Tapi tak tahu pun berapa value kalau bila anak tu 18 dapat berapa tak tahu. So dia bukannya you ambil children education plan tu dah cukup. You kena tahu berapa value yang dia dapat from any plan lah, tak kisah investment whatever. Yang
when you mention plan normally insurance plan lah.
Insurance plan ramai orang ambil juga kan. Tapi a lotnya tak tahu berapa yang cash value amount yang anak akan dapat masa umur 18. So I'm thinking that enough lah I dah ambil student education plan. Tapi you kena tahu berapa yang akan dapat nanti sebab kita nak tengok berapa yang dapat tu nak kira cukup ke untuk anak kita nanti.
Ya. Maksudnya sekarang ni apa yang kita dah discuss earlier, kita membicarakan tentang education plan tu maksudnya you buat simpanan. But now one point yang Diana mention here ialah education plan as in insurance punya plan.
Betul. Insurance punya education plan. Ramai orang ambil kan?
We are not talking about good or bad. We are talking about you mesti tahu what is it. Adakah ianya
you kena tahu
memberi you apa yang you nak.
Berapa you dapat nanti bila anak you 18.
Yeah, I also come across of that bila some of my clients buat review. Sebenarnya duit tu bukan dapat pada umur 18, duit yang dia kata lump sum tu akan dapat umur 24. Ada juga yang dapat umur 30 lebih. Jadi
so kena tahu.
Lump sum tu sepatutnya you nak guna bila anak umur 18. But if you dapat duit tu pada anak umur 24, apa?
Tak serve the purpose lah. Kahwin lah, jadi kahwin punya ni.
Kan?
Jadi funding kahwin.
Exactly. So this is something yang kena faham dan review supaya you tahu what you are getting into, apa yang you akan dapat. Okay. Alright. So my last question for tonight, okay, untuk parents to start dia punya children education planning, apakah key point yang dia perlu ingat? Apakah key point yang dia perlu consider?
The first one, I think you have to be realistic. With the kita punya resources, tengok kita punya resources, husband punya resources, wife punya resources, is realistic or not? To contohnya, sometimes we have to macam jangan emotional. I know some parents bila dia maybe sebelum ni dia dapat belajar di overseas, get a scholarship and everything. So dia pun nak anak dia pun belajar di overseas. Tapi because macam saya cakap, it's very hard to get scholarship. They plan to do self-funding lah. But it costs a lot of money. So whether it's realistic with your income, semua you kena kira lah. Whether you want to sacrifice kerja lagi lama, extend your retirement, kan? And then set you punya expectation tu, mesti tahu. Maknanya kalau nak belajar di overseas apa, this is what I have to go through. I can kena really fokus. Kalau anak seorang maybe 1 million seorang anak, okay. Tapi kalau 3 orang anak 1 million dah 3 million. Tapi kalau 300, so you have to look at realistic or not for your family, and then review along the way. Macam cakap lah, tengok okay, now berapa dah the education funding, and check kalau ada dah buat insurance education zaman dulu-dulu, whatever, tengok berapa sebenarnya, betul ke dapat umur 18 ni, what plan that you really take. It's not just macam you take the plan masa anak you lahir, lepas tu you terus lupa, tak check, tak tahu pun sebenarnya. And so you need to check, you need to know apa sebenarnya yang you buat, yang education yang dah buat sebelum ni.
Betul. Okay, so 3 point yang Diana mention that parents mesti consider. Pertama sekali adalah the resources that you have. Yang kedua adalah what are your expectations. Nombor 3, you must review. I would like to add on the resources. Diana also mentioned just now limited resources, and you have got to be realistic with your resources. So when we mention realistic tu, bagi I, maksud dia yang mendalam ialah you must be aware of your other life priorities. Sebab bila kita cakap pasal resources, these are the resources that we have, tetapi life priorities kita bukan sekadar education anak. Macam I mentioned tadi, retirement. I was just telling me and Diana, kita ni tak adalah muda mana pun, so our retirement is also approaching. At the same time, anak kahwin. So I was talking to Diana just now, dia punya eldest child dah ada dating ke, dah ada boyfriend ke, dah ada girlfriend ke kan. And then you must also remember, so kalau you belum pergi haji lagi, you also nak pergi haji pada waktu yang sama. And then you must also look at your other life priorities. Contohnya kalau you ada lagi nak beli properties ke, other things. So bila you lihat secara keseluruhan ni, then you boleh nampak in perspective. Okay, how much are you willing to spare untuk your children education? So this is the reality. Baru you nampak the reality. Kalau you hanya tengok in terms of education sahaja, you tak tengok in terms of other life priorities, because other life priorities akan berjalan pada waktu yang sama. Then barulah you boleh kaitkan dengan your expectation, then you boleh review. So this is the thing yang selalunya kalau a licensed financial planner will look at overall, holistically, so that you'll be able to make a proper decision, an informed decision with regards not just your children's education funding, but also your other life priorities. Okay, all right. So I think thank you so much, Diana. I just would like to share with my listeners out there, if you would like to talk to a licensed financial planner, you can scan the QR code on the screen. Okay, maybe you can. There's no strings attached. Talk to them. Okay, maybe you can get a free financial pulse. Okay, you scan that QR code tu and talk to them. Okay, so yeah, Diana, sebelum kita mengakhiri program pada malam ini, I think masa berlalu dengan pantas. I think sangat-sangat there's so many things that you have shared tonight. Thank you so much for being with us. But your last kata-kata akhir daripada Diana tentang education anak ni.
Start early. And a lot of people, when they start late, they want to find macam instant punya high return. Instant, what can I get? So when you start early, actually starting early is the most important thing lah. Start early. It doesn't matter if it's small, but when you start early, it makes a lot of difference.
Betul. Okay. I guess that's point yang sangat-sangat betul dan apt. Start early. So start early tu maksudnya apa? Start now. Tak kira you at what point. If you already have
tak kisah sekarang ni anak dah darjah 5
tahun, start. If you ada child umur 10 tahun, start. If you ada child umur 13 tahun, start. If you anak you dah umur 17 tahun, start juga. Somewhere. Maksudnya start juga sampai tu you kena fikirlah, okay, apa yang I ada sekarang, what can I do, what can I use, betul tak? And macam I cakap juga tadi, lihat secara keseluruhan, then you can make an informed decision. Okay, so I guess that's it tonight. I think it's a very, very interesting topic. I think to parents out there, I as parents, Diana also as parents, I think kita akan as we go on, you akan relate lah pasal benda ni bila nak discuss pasal education anak. To me, the very least that you can do to your children is to provide them with the best education possible. kan. That's the very least lah kan. Okay, so thank you so much Diana for joining me in the Financial Doctor Show tonight. InsyaAllah to my listeners out there, lagi 2 minggu we'll come up with more topics. Alright, so stay tuned and thank you so much dan selamat berhujung minggu. Assalamualaikum and see you again. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Financial Doctor Show.